Hello and welcome to Wholesome Roots. Well, I wasn't planning on doing a video on this. I was just gonna get it done and be done with it, but then Ryan handed me the camera on that way out the door. So I guess it was meant to be that we do a video on this. So today we're setting up a new fence area for the ducks. We have determined that they are probably large enough that our big hawks cannot or would not try to pick them up. So we are hoping that this works. This is a test run with our adult ducks to see how running them in the open works. And we will have a dog house in there for them to hide in. If they see a hawk, they can hide in there and they can lay eggs in it and they can sleep in it and such. So this is definitely something that we've been wanting to do and meaning to do for a while, and we're finally getting to it. So what you see behind me here is my asparagus bed that I let get overgrown with other weeds and trees and stuff that I shouldn't have. Yes. So I had 40 asparagus crowns. This is what they look like when they're big and growing and blooming and all that. And so this whole area was our first garden when we first moved here. We had all of this tilled and raked up into hills, and it grew stuff, but the soil is like pure clay. It's just really difficult to grow stuff. Even though we added a whole truckload of compost, it still literally looks like pure clay. And so we are going to try a different approach. See how we have that really rich compost down there? We're gonna do something different up here.
Alright, so we have our main perimeter established with the fence, kind of a rough setup, and since we know that we want our door to be down here on this corner, I purposefully left it a little slack so we can then come back, tighten up our door as tight as we want it, and then we'll work our way back out, tightening up the fence the rest of the way.
So then from the corner, you're gonna pull as tight as you can for your first post coming off this corner, correct?
Yes.
And then we are tightening up the slack with the corner post. So each corner post is getting a post tied to it to pull back and tighten up. All right, Ryan's got his T-post to set his electric charger on, and I have installed a hinge. It's just a non-conductive bamboo stake that I'm going to use so that when I come out here, the whole thing doesn't lose all its tightness. I can just step back and go in and take care of the ducks and make sure they have their food and water and collect eggs. I think they're gonna enjoy this. So I'm relatively confident that strength in numbers has kept these ducks safe because there is no covering on their pen. There's a shade structure, the trampoline, but there is nothing going over this section that actually protects them from predators. We've had a bunch of rain lately and they have turned it into mud, which they do pretty quick anyway, but we move them and they get moved every so often. But this duck right here is the only one that has figured out that she can get out. This is one of our Muscovies. Ryan's been calling her Margot. Margot! So she's the only one that I think may end up having to have her wings clipped if we do end up having to do that. I think once we move them into that luscious area, they are not going to be trying to get out. Yes, you all need one of those. And I'm not talking about the fence driver. I'm talking about that man doing the fence drive. Oof.
I feel it.
Do ya?
Yeah.
So we're using a charger that is not designed for a net fence. It's kind of weak, but the ducks really don't want to get out probably.
I was actually going to bring that up, that when you get fencing like this, to make sure you get the proper energizer for it, because you can learn from our mistake. We went out and bought this one from the feed store and it's very, very weak. The output on it, especially when it gets diluted between all these different strands of wire, it just was not sufficient for keeping our goats inside, which that's very important, is to have a fence that they respect. If it doesn't hurt you and it doesn't hurt them, they're not going to respect it. But for our ducks, they haven't been attacked by any predators yet, so we're going to go ahead and use this energizer for right now, and hopefully it's enough to deter any would-be predators from going in and keep them from wanting to go out.
All right, we scratched the doghouse idea because it was too hard to move, and grabbed this old cabinet out of the old garage and put it to some use. They would gladly nest in there, I'm sure, and it's a good repurpose of an item, and it doubles as a work table for me. So ideally, if the girls clean all this weedy mess up and they end up making this a muddy mess like they do their normal spaces, then I will be able to garden in this area again. And this time I will stay on top of it, I promise. I keep saying that, but like really, I have such good intentions, I really do. Fill their pool up with fresh water, stuff their new nest boxes full of fresh straw, and then try to lure them in here with a scoop of food. Wish us luck. So originally my idea was that ducks would be good guard dogs for our orchard, because the deer are eating the orchard really bad. And the deer ate this garden really bad too, which is another reason why we abandoned it. And down there on the lower edge of the slope, that's a little better. So there, and there, and another one there, and all those are just on the berm, overgrown stuff. But anyway, there's a row of fruit trees, and then below them is figs, and then below them is pawpaw. And then we have some blueberry bushes up on this end where we tried to start some blueberry and raspberry, but they didn't take very well. So my theory is that because if I come out here in the middle of the night and the ducks hear me even a little bit, they start squawking and quacking and hissing and making all their noise. So my theory was that the ducks would actually probably scare away any deer trying to come into the orchard. So we're hoping that that helps us with this garden as well. All right, so we just put Margot back in, and now Ryan is gonna open up the door and he's got the food and they recognize that. They're ready. It is feeding time. So he is going to hopefully... Come on, duckies. God, babies. All right, I'll bring up the rear. That should help. Follow Daddy. And once you get them going, just keep going. All right, ducks. Got all our ducks in a row, right? Who's the leader, huh? Margot, are you the leader? All right. I don't know which one's Margot, by the way. Only until she comes out. Follow Daddy. Follow Daddy. It's more like they're running from me than they're following you. Go back that way, buddy. I think they have caught on to us. Ah! All right, we've weeded out the smart ones. We got the smart ones following Daddy. And they're doing well. Go on, guys. Go on. Yeah, I was gonna say this narrow tunnel is gonna make them balk. Go through the door. Go through the door. Good job. You guys get the biggest reward for being the smartest ducks. Our Muscovies are smart.
All right, so Rose caught the last straggler. We had tried herding them and that didn't quite work out. We got about 10 feet away.
I think the camera distracted me, to be honest.
Yeah, it was about 10 feet away from the door. They all turned around and ran back, which figured the ducks would run right back to where they're from because that's what they know is home. Which if they ever get out of here, that's probably where they'll go. So we'll leave that set up for a little bit. But now, they get a good taste of a little more freedom of them what they're used to.
Silly ducks. What do you guys think? You like it? Stop eating your commercial food and go eat some of this natural stuff. I hope they like their little shelter. I hope it's enough. So we wanted to give them a little extra protection from aerial predators and from the sun. So we are putting this table in here with this kind of sort of shade cloth over it so that they have a little place to hide. Trampoline was just too big to move in here. Ooh, we're getting some dominant behaviors displayed already, huh? Gonna figure out who's boss now in this big area. They never did this in the other space. Huh. Interesting how things change. I just love the way these Muscovies talk. So cool. This is so weird. I can't figure out if some of the Muscovies are boys or if this Drake is just picking on everybody. The one with the green head is a male. He's a male roan. The Muscovy is supposed to be pretty easy to tell if they're male or female because they're supposed to be much bigger in size and the males have a lot more red on their heads. And these guys are a year old, so it should be a lot more red if they were gonna be boys. Maybe I've been mistaken thinking they were all girls. Or maybe just that Drake is just being weird because he's in a new space and wants to make sure everybody knows he's boss. High five! Job well done. We're done. We're hoping that this first night goes well. What do you think? Think they'll be all right?
Let's hope so. We'll keep a close eye on them.
And ear.
And ear.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time on Wholesome Roots. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.